Joining us now is Sky News contributor Gary Hardgrave and WA opposition leader Basil Zemplis. Great to have you both on the show tonight. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, Danica.
Gary, look, as I just said, there is a massive soft vote right now, one that we haven't seen in many, many elections in recent memory. There are a lot of undecided voters. Can Peter Dutton get them on side with really not a lot of time to go because of the public holidays we've got coming up?
Danica, the shocking thing is that 1 in 5 voters walk into a polling booth on a polling day, pick up the pencil and say, I don't quite know. There's nothing unusual in this. I've been through multiple federal election campaigns since I was 14, so over the last 50 years. And these things are getting drawn out and tedious in the minds of good people like you, and understandably so. But a lot of people still don't make their mind up until the last minute. Look, this weekend is important for millions, in fact, billions of people around the world. This is the weekend of the resurrection. This is what people want to talk about this weekend. So I'm praying for a political resurrection as well for the Liberal Party campaign, because we have to have people look very closely at the one question, and that is, are you better off than you were 3 years ago? Simple answer, no. You talk about the $275 off your bill. That's each power bill. I don't know what it's like where you are, but where I am in Queensland, quarterly bills. So there's been a dozen of them that I haven't had any relief on. As you say, the price has gone up. I am not, no one is better off than they were 3 years ago. And the Prime Minister's oblivious to this. It's double talk, it's spin, it's controlled, it's rubbish. And Peter Dutton is not Albo. That is actually the biggest thing going for him in the minds of a hell of a lot of people. Albo's got to go. We'll just see what happens, whether the miracle of Easter transposes into the political world.
Well, hopefully for that, resurrection, as you just said. But you're right. And the problem is that voters don't like Albo. He has lied one too many times. But on the other end, they don't really know a lot about Peter Dutton either. And Basil, this is why it's reflecting in the polling. Why do you think that parties are struggling so much with their primary votes? And why is that soft vote so big this time?
Yeah, hard to know for sure, but clearly there is a level of disengagement, and I do agree with you. The stop-start nature to this campaign, firstly the natural disaster that put a stop to the first start, and then clearly this long weekend and then the Anzac Day long weekend, it hasn't been particularly useful for people to get their momentum up. There is no doubt that the fuel saving has been the one big announcement, if you like, from the Liberal and coalition that has made a difference and has resonated. And so I wonder, over the 8 days that remain, might Peter Dutton go to another measure like that, or might he have something like that ready to pull out? Because it is going to take something like that. There's no doubt the coalition of the underdogs.
I agree, and I really like Peter Dutton's messaging on that today. He said very firmly in his press conference, he said, we're going to save you money, and with the money that we're going to save you, you can go out and you can put it towards your groceries. And I just thought that was a really, really smart line. We need to hear more of that short, simple and smart messaging. But look, let's move on, because a Sydney dad of 3 kids who recently broke down on Q&A about the dire state of cost of living and housing, well, he's decided to camp outside Albo's mansion. Have a look at this.
I'm here at Albo's $4.5 million mansion. We've just driven down his $100 million road. We're here on behalf of 3.5 million other Australians who are struggling, who are in poverty, facing homelessness. All we want is to be heard. All we want is for the politicians to listen to us. Everybody deserves a home, Albo. If you're watching this, if you could go to costoflivingcasualties.com.au and just tell us your story. We'd love to hear it, and we'd love to pass it on to some of those politicians and just let them know how we're really struggling. And I just hope that we can make this country a better place to live.
And on Q&A last month, when he broke down about his situation, have a look at these.
We've got nowhere to go. My family's already been forced out of Sydney for the same reasons. I want to know, is the government going to cut immigration to match housing availability, or are we just going to keep going until every regular working Australian is homeless?
Matt Keane, you're a former treasurer.
Gary, what does it take for Anthony Albanese to actually answer this question? Because nobody ever voted for a big Australia, yet here we are, a big Australia, more than 1 million migrants have come into this country, and you've got genuine people out there like this man who want to know how he's going to get himself into housing. It's a question he must answer.
And he's right, because that's what Peter Dutton said. Let's actually bring in the migrants to match the housing we've got available, not try and play catch-up. 1.8 million people are forecast to come to Australia over the next 3 years if Albo and the Greens are returned. Simple as that. 1.8 million people. Now, I'm all for migration, but we've got to plan it in a way that we don't create resentment amongst those of us who've been here for a longer period of time. And that's the problem, Danique. For what purpose is our migration? Are we going to bring in the trade skills we need to build the houses before we bring in the people who are going to live in the houses? These are questions the Prime Minister doesn't want to answer. I mean, equally, you know, I don't believe at Albo's $1 million mansion that this chappie is outside of, and good on him for doing that. I don't believe he's going to get a wind turbine there, and yet people all along the Moreton Bay coastline in and around southeast Queensland, all along central Queensland, in and around the Darling Downs are putting up with these dreadful industrialised wind turbines, $25 million a unit, ripping down trees, killing koalas, displacing them, all for this renewable rubbish, which is going to produce about 1/2% of electricity for Queensland. This government has lost its way. It's on the wrong track. It's pretty simple.
Yeah,